Hey friends, today we're talking about what's the difference between a project manager and a business analyst. What skills do you need and what are the career opportunities for both roles? And yes, I had previously considered becoming a business analyst before, but I ended up switching careers from engineering into project management. By the way, I do have a free gift for you. If you are looking to start a career as a project manager, don't forget to download my free project manager resume template at alvinthepm.com/resume template. Now let's first talk about the business analyst role. Well, they make sure that we're creating a product that meets our customer requirements. Their role is to understand what exactly does the customer want and what are the opportunities that are available for the business and the organization to grow even further. So let's say that you're building a new software app that will allow users to shop online. Your responsibility as a business analyst is to understand what the customers want so that we build the right thing for our customers. Since you're the one who will be best positioned to understand the requirements, you're the one who connects the entire team to the business side, which means that depending on the company that you work for, you would play a huge role with creating the business proposal, doing requirements analysis and documentation, preparing use cases, and creating mock-ups so that the customers and our internal team understands what exactly we need to develop. The skills that you need to succeed as a business analyst will depend heavily on your ability to understand the business lingo in your industry. For example, that could be construction, IT, software, manufacturing, or finance. You want to have a very good technical foundation so you can easily translate that lingo and the language that your customers are speaking into the requirements that your team will use to build the final product. So it's very important to have a good level of communication skills, being able to speak from the business side, as well as to your technical teams who will be the one who create the final product. But there's one thing here. It's not enough to just document the requirements. To be successful as a business analyst, you need to be closely aligned with your customers' needs and what your stakeholders are looking for, because that's who you're going to spend most of your time with. You're going to interview them one-on-one to document their requirements and to perform validations and user acceptance testing, just to name a few. So be as hands-on as possible so you truly understand each requirement. Don't just take everything that your stakeholders say at face value. Challenge their input. Understand, why do they want requirements A, B, and C, and why isn't it a different configuration? Understand the logic and the reasoning, because you need to be able to better explain that to your team. Now, in terms of career growth, you can start out as a junior business analyst and then work your way up to a senior business analyst and eventually into a manager or even a director role where you're more involved in the business side with both internal and external stakeholders. By the way, if you're getting a lot of value out of this video, make sure to smash that like button because it shows your support for me and it helps the channel out tremendously. Now let's talk about the project manager role. If I had to summarize it in one sentence, it's gonna be this. The project manager oversees the entire project from start to finish. A project manager makes sure that the right work gets done on time, within budget, and within scope, aka your iron triangle. Once a project has been initiated and approved, the organization usually assigns a project manager who will be in charge of that project. It's the project manager's responsibility to gather all the appropriate team members who will support and execute the project's work. Who are the technical people who will execute the engineering work, for example? You'll need to work closely with your team to create a realistic and feasible schedule. For example, completing the project within the next 2 years based on the project's complexity, scope, identifying all the resources that you need, and whether or not certain components will be made in-house or procured externally at an outside vendor. Now, don't forget that it's also the project manager's role to prevent what's called scope creep. What that means is you're making sure that only the work that was agreed upon at the very start of the project is what's being worked on. You need to prevent gold plating. In other words, prevent adding on extra features and requests which are outside the scope of your project's original plan. So let's say that a manager or another engineer tells you, hey, let's add on this new feature because this is going to be extremely helpful and user-friendly. Well, as a project manager, that's when you would step in and you would say, that wasn't what we agreed upon with leadership when we first created our plan, and unfortunately, we can't add that in. Otherwise, it's going to add 4 more months to our development timeline, and we're going to be significantly behind schedule. So as project managers, not only do we manage the project, but in many ways, we're also managing the team and we're making sure that everyone's engaged with each other. In my current position as a project manager, I always ask myself this question: is everyone doing the work at the right time? I like to view myself as the quarterback since I'm the one who supports our team. I help lead everyone in the right direction and throwing them that ball when they need help, or let's say there's a critical path activity that needs their attention. What issue is that person having? Are they experiencing any big roadblocks, and how can I step in to prevent that conflict? So over the past few years, I've learned that to be successful as a project manager, you need to be very good at working with your team, delegating tasks, and holding people accountable for their assigned work. Have a weekly status project sync with your team and make sure they aren't getting stuck. You can be extremely successful as a project manager if your team trusts you and if they believe in your guidance, as long as you're creating that open and that trusting environment with them. Just like a business analyst, the project manager has so many career opportunities, starting from a junior level project manager into a more senior level role. And then this can lead up to become a program manager and eventually a manager or a director of program management. So again, the opportunities are literally endless, and the income also scales pretty well once you obtain your certification as a PMP, Scrum Master, or you gain more years of experience in your industry. Now, it's worth mentioning that the role of a business analyst, depending on the organization that you work for, might be more hands-on than a project manager because they're the ones who are interviewing the stakeholders, documenting requirements, performing user acceptance testing. The project manager, on the other hand, oversees the entire project, and they're the ones who lead and manage the team. So while a business analyst makes sure that the customers can actually use a product once it's been released, it's the project manager who focuses the team, who guides them to deliver the final product on time and within budget to the customer. Now, if you want to learn how to become a project manager and kickstart your career the right way, watch this video next, and I'll see you in the next video.